In this very beginner-friendly full walkthrough video, I will teach you how to tank Temple of Sethraliss as one of the examples of Mythic Plus dungeons in World of Warcraft. Let's do this! Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Gyro. I'm very happy for you to join me here today. As already mentioned, this is a full walkthrough video of a Mythic Temple of Sethraliss. It was recorded as a response to one of my supporters, to one of my subscribers, who basically put effort into his very thoughtful comment and asked me to consider recording a guide, very casual friendly guide, very beginner friendly guide, without getting too technical, just walk people through how I tank, because a lot of people are considering tanking, and I still believe that this is one of the most in-demand, most rewarding roles in World of Warcraft. Shadowlands, Battle for Azeroth, it doesn't matter. If you learn how to tank, you will not be without a job. So I am going to walk you through the whole run. It's going to be a long video. Please prepare to use the table of contents in description. In the timeline of the video, you can drag the cursor and see that there are timeline stamps that are shown to you, and I will even pin the comment in below so that you can more easily navigate through the video. Otherwise, it's really long. I am simply going to comment on already recorded footage that I did on this Blood Death Knight Tormi, and he's fairly low geared. He's 435, I think, at the moment of recording of the run. I will show you all the stats, I will show you all the talents, but I will not just focus on that stuff. I'm just gonna focus on making sure I comment on all my moves. Just because some people like disclaimers and some people also like pointing out the obvious, like I haven't picked some talent that they think is the best or something like that. Let's just get it out of the way. I never ever pretend to be a pro player who pushes top levels of Mythic, but I am a veteran of World of Warcraft. I know what I'm doing, and I know enough to share, and I care enough about you guys to share this with you. So with that being said, I hope this counts as a disclaimer. Otherwise, please talk to me in the comments down below about anything that I may have not addressed. You maybe missed something, please ask me. Otherwise, we're gonna focus on the run. Please show your support, subscribe, like the video if you like this content. I'm making it for you guys. I want the channel to grow, but I want it to grow with a purpose. If these are the videos that you like, tell me and I'll make more for you. Let's do this. First of all, preparation takes a little bit of time. I will talk you through my talents at the end of this video. Please, once again, use the table of contents, timestamps. At the moment, I'm going into the Dungeon Finder and go to pre-made groups, dungeons, just to demonstrate to you how time wasteful it is to sometimes, not always, sign up to other people's groups. So I just joined a group for Temple of Sethraliss, and I am going to inspect the leader of the group. He has really subpar gear, as you can see. He has some good items, but generally, as a potential tank, I look at this and he's not a healer, so I'm leaving a party. Whether it's a fully ethical or a bit annoying move, it doesn't matter. I'm just demonstrating to you that when you are signing up for someone else's party as a tank especially, you are at the mercy of those people. So I am, once again, in addition to what I said earlier in my other videos, I am once again recommending that for a successful run, first thing to do is to make sure you are appropriately geared, more on this coming up, and that you are creating your own group. Create your own group. You go, you select that it's Mythic. We're not doing Mythic Plus, but we are going Mythic level for the 430 drops, and we are writing +0. This is how people generally talk about base level of Mythic. For World Quest, that was the purpose. Chill run. This is important. It also is important to set minimum item level. You want to give people a chance to get better gear. You do want to give them a chance to get better gear. But at the same time, you do not want people in 370s, the ones who you've just seen. In my opinion, those people are trying to skip certain steps that they need to, just out of courtesy to their teammates, out of courtesy to their fellow players, they need to take before they start pushing themselves as candidates, as damage dealers, as tanks, as healers, to do their job in Mythic Plus. I don't think that that guy, the leader who I just inspected, would have done a good job. That is just my subjective opinion, and if your goal is to have fun and not be too stressed, this is one of the steps that I have to emphasize for you. Make your own group, let people gear up. Excuse me. In the Mythic Plus 0, there will be 430 obviously drops, yes? So you want to give them a chance to get something good. You want a chance, that same chance for yourself probably as well, because otherwise what's the point? But I think that 420 should be the base level that you should expect from people to offer you as a leader of the group, to support you through a run that is not supposed to be too stressful. So once again, part of your stress comes from the fact that you maybe were setting yourself up for a fail because you were accepting the rules of the game that are set by other people. Make sure you take control. As a tank, this is even expected of you. If you want to be a decent tank, this is the right mindset to start this journey with. There's nothing wrong with that. Start developing it for yourself. What have I done in the meantime, and why did I have time to have this little bit more of an explanation? Because it is required. You are after guidelines. These are the guidelines. I've set up a timer to show to you how long as a tank I will have to wait on average. Obviously, that it can be faster, it can be not so fast. How long will I have to wait to get the whole group? So I set up a timer, a real-time timer. Yes, I will edit this video and I'll cut out the wait moments for you when I finish talking, when I finish delivering the thought to you. But that timer will keep running and you will be able to take a look until we kick off. And this timer will keep running until the group is formed. You will see when people start joining. As you can see, some of them will start joining. But you will also see how long it takes me to get the full group, so that you get a realistic impression. In the meantime, I'm just going to take a look at my talents. As you can see, I'm a Blood Death Knight. Like I said in the very brief disclaimer, I'm not going to justify anything. I'm going to just tell you what I take. You can pause on each of the talents, take a look through them. I'm not going to even read the descriptions to you, because why? You can read, I'm sure. All of my goals are usually to keep things simple. Keep things simple for yourself as a beginner tank, and as someone surely is already typing, unless you already have typed it, thank you very much for your attention, in the comments down below. Blood Death Knight is not the easiest tank to tank on. I know it. Don't you think I know it? I do. But I was ranking up, leveling up my Blood Death Knight. I needed to do Temple of Sethraliss for World Quest. So you are getting a little bit of a benefit from this, my friend, and I'm getting some gear. So everyone is a winner. Plus, you learn how to tank on Death Knight. Death Knights start at a higher level in the game as well, once you unlock them, once you can roll them. So there will be a lot of people rolling Death Knights in Shadowlands. So I also think that even though Sethraliss, Temple of Sethraliss will be irrelevant as a dungeon in Shadowlands very, very soon, at the moment of recording of this video, it doesn't matter. I'm giving you basics. I'm giving you basics, and I don't think, from my knowledge of what's happening in Shadowlands, Death Knights are not going to change drastically. So this will be applicable. From the gear, I have 435, as I already said, item level. My group is almost full. It's filling up, as you can see. It's coming to about 3 minutes and a half. Fairly manageable time, as you can see, using the looking for group. It's all in real time, my friends. All for you laid out there. I have plenty of blues. I have Galvazzt. If you haven't watched my video about Galvazzt, slightly sarcastic, slightly funny, about this weapon that I have that does obsidian destruction, which is a fantastic damage dealing ability for a tank that's otherwise a little impaired on that account. Take a look. Now I have a healer. Healer is reasonably geared, 447. He's over gearing content as far as I'm concerned, but he probably also wanted to do the content. So you just saw that the group was formed at 4:19, 4 minutes 19 seconds. Under 5 minutes, my friend, you're gonna have a group. I recommend, as a leader, take charge, say hello to people, say welcome everyone, let's head out to the stone. So we zoned into the dungeon, Temple of Sethraliss. People will summon you or you will fly there. It's in Vol'dun, and I usually mark yourself to be visible, and sometimes optionally mark the healer as well, because you as a tank want to know where is the healer. Ask them if they are ready. You could always optionally do the ready check, /ready check, command in the chat, but I don't bother. It's easy content. I start by throwing my Death and Decay as Death Knight. You should always try to make sure that all of the enemies are affected by your area of effect damage. Primary thing for you is to make sure that the bone shield is on you. So once you're in melee range, you hit Marrow Rend. Marrow Rend is mapped to my number 5 on my bars there. Yeah, and if you don't know how to map abilities to your bars and how to configure your UI, please look on my channel, Gyrotex Gaming. Please take a look at what I do there for the guide on dominoes. Just take a look at guide for dominoes add-on. That's what I use for UI. Once Marrow Rend is up, and you can see there at the very top of my bars, those numbers and those kind of icons that have been duplicating everything, they are lighting up there. Did you notice, with some numbers on them? These are not my doing. This is my installation, obviously, but not my doing. But in the description below, I will give you a link to a wonderful, very creative people's content, who are community people, obviously, who are dealing with weak auras. What they do is, I'm not sure if they are directly related to creator of weak auras, original creator of the add-on, but what they do is they review, recommend, guide and publish different weak auras. What I didn't do in my Dominoes and Weak Auras add-on review, I did not tell you one important thing, admittedly, that you can go to a website or whatever and copy an encoded string, if you like, text, and then import the aura into your character once you have installed Weak Auras add-on. So that bar that lights up as soon as I'm in combat, it only appears in combat. You already figured out that it shows me very much front and center how many stacks of my bone shield I have, and whether or not my blood boil, the blood boil disease is actually on enemies, or is it gray? Is it currently gray? And I basically should fill it up. It just is reminders. It's reminders. It's also very helpful for Death Knights. As you know, Death Knights are relying very much on self-sustain or self-heal from Death Strike. So that weak aura shows to me whether or not the Death Strike is available, and how much of your health will it heal for. Sorry, will it shield you for, because it basically returns health, and I think it gives you a shield against physical damage. So Marrow Rend to keep your bone shield up whenever it's available. That's the first priority. Yes, number 5, boom. You run into the group. Death Knights, let's not pretend, Death Knights are AoE tanks. It means you tank groups. Yes, you can tank single targets, but at the same time, when you have a group to tank, you need to pull them all, and all your abilities are there to kind of keep all of them attracted to you. So you're doing Marrow Rend, you are healing yourself with Death Strike if you need to, you're doing Blood Boil whenever possible, at least I do that whenever possible. It spreads the disease, and it just does AoE damage. It basically keeps them attracted to you. And I do Heart Strike. Heart Strike, and that's the Heart Strike, the very first button, whenever it's lit up. Admittedly, I missed a couple of them, a couple of those presses that I probably should have taken. It's a hard-hitting ability, and I boosted it as well through the talents. But technically speaking, keep the bone shield up. Throw the Death and Decay when you can, especially when there are multiple targets. Sometimes when there is an only target, only a single target, it's not worth it. That's why I'm not taking the shot here. At least, whether I'm right or wrong, this is my intuitive way of how I do this, okay? And do the Blood Boil. Blood Boil, Heart Strike, Marrow Rend, always, whenever you can, to keep to get your bone shield up. Now, main defense against magic attacks is mapped to my number 6, and it is your magic shield. Basically, it has a little bit of a cooldown there on it, so I'm saving it, and I occasionally use it. I occasionally use it on magic attacks when I anticipate a magic attack. After these first couple of bosses, I was talking to you about what's important, but it's real time, so I didn't give much attention to this. You saw that I was mainly dodging the cones of attack. I was trying to dodge the cones of attack, and I was a bit of a dummy. I don't even particularly know what those guys do, and I don't think that at a very entry casual level of a player that you potentially are, if you need this guide, You didn't, as you can see, this is a living proof that you didn't need to worry about that too much. As long as you took people with reasonable item level, and as long as you're not being a complete idiot and you get out of the obvious cones of attack, yeah, as long as you're doing your tanking things, the priorities that I just told you about, as long as you're keeping your defenses up and keeping the mobs attracted to you, God bless, you'll be all right. Now in this corridor that we kind of, corridor of rocks that you go along, as you can see, I'm asking people to stick to the right side. I marked the patrolman with the blue square. Sometimes I pull him. In fact, in this moment, I wanted to pull him, but then I saw my friends successfully skipping him. So I thought, okay, what's the worst that can happen? I'm gonna pull him. But I stuck to the right wall. I told everyone, this is another thing. If you are after these intermittent tips of how to avoid stress, guys, we avoid stress, especially as casuals who are pugging, pickup grouping, yes, we are avoiding stress by communicating with people. I don't have to be chatty, but I am a friend of chat. I say stick to the right wall. I soften my messages often with a bit of a smiley. I'm not saying you have to do exactly what I do, but you are after advice. Here is my advice to you. It takes the pressure off because people hate being told what to do. And there will be a little moment coming very, very shortly where somebody will say, oh, I'm sorry, I was eating a bagel. And I'll be like, oh, as long as you don't eat a bagel on the next boss, haha. And he was like, oh yeah, I got it, you do you, man, or something like that. I'm not sure that even if that voice is appropriate here, but you get me. You will see, I'll point it out, I don't engage. I don't engage with that type of stuff, and I still remain friendly and neutral. This is what I recommend for you. If you didn't notice, you can rewind back now and take a look at those Krolusk riders. They have noxious breath, and there will be a few pulls right now. One thing to pay attention to here is, well, two things. First, wait until Krolusk starts casting noxious breath. You will see it on, you will see the warning. And by the way, in case you don't have, and I probably should have mentioned it, see this noxious breath, dodge attack, and I go to the side. Just go to the side, because Krolusk, when it starts doing that noxious breath, which does quite a bit of damage, he sticks in that position. He doesn't follow you around. He just starts casting. So if you go to the side, you have plenty of time to dodge a lot of that. And I think in higher levels of Mythic Plus, that noxious breath, or maybe if you just get hit by it, and I simply wasn't, I'm not quite sure. Not a pro! Disclaimers at the beginning of the video. I think it stuns you. And as a tank with what we call active mitigation. Why Death Knight is wonderful, but not the easiest tank like a druid? Because Death Knight has active mitigation. You have to press buttons like Marrow Ram to keep the shield up, like Death Strike to get the health back. Excuse me. You have to press it to stay alive. When you're stunned, guess what happens? Guess what happens when you're stunned? I'm sure you guessed it already. So you want, by any means necessary, avoid being stunned. Yes. What was I saying earlier? Yes. So second thing is that I said one thing to dodge the noxious breath. Yes. But the second thing that I need to tell you is that your job, especially as a beginner tank, is not to rush ahead like a madman. That's why I marked my healer with a moon. That's why I periodically look at healer's mana. Yeah, Hariki, Bleeding Hollow. I take a look at him or her and I make sure that they have mana. Make sure they have mana. Don't just rush. You are not Usain Bolt at the Olympics. You don't need to charge ahead, alright? So make sure they have mana. Be respectful of your healer. See where they are. Don't just run off like a madman. And at the same time, however, to balance that off, it is your job as a tank, especially in the world of impatient people that we live in, and that you are by definition, yes, my commenter mentioned toxicity. Some toxicity comes from impatience of people, okay? So it is your job to not rush like crazy, go at your own speed, learn, make sure you're okay, but at the same time, please pay attention, and you may need to watch this again. Yeah, now that you know what I have to say. So you may need to watch this corridor and this entry again to see how I did it. But what I do is, when I see that 90% of my targets that I currently pulled are 80-90% of health already down, so dying, very well dying, yes. Once I see that my guys are doing all right, they're doing okay. They are, by my guys I mean my healer, my DPS. Once I know I am the daddy of the group, I want to make sure they're okay. So at that point, your job as a tank is to make sure they always have a target to bash on. What does that mean? It means that you have to start moving forward. It means that you have to look around all the time. Look around. See how I'm panning the view all the time. I look for the next target. I look for the next target. I make sure that, okay, you guys almost done? Here is another one. You guys almost done? Here is another one. You guys almost done? Here is another one. Got it? This is casual advice from Gyro to you, my friend. Okay, with the boss, with this boss, I would say Merekta, second boss of Temple of Sethraliss, and I will tell you why I like Temple of Sethraliss as well. We'll get to that. Merekta is probably the first boss that is somewhat challenging. I don't think that the first two bosses were challenging from tanking perspective, as long as you have okay group. And if you have a horrible group, you'll have problems anyway, and it's not up to you to save them, okay? So that is, let's just get that out of the way. Merekta, first of all, you see the warnings on the screen. I had warnings about noxious breath. I just deviated, but I'm coming back to it now. You see toxic pool warnings. You see look away warnings and stuff like this. Where do I get these warnings from? I get them from an add-on that as any level of raider, LFR, any other, and any person who wants to do mythics, for example, anyone who does more than face roll level. And by face roll level, I mean like normal or heroic dungeons that are just filled with a click of a button. If you are anywhere above that, which arguably you should be, yeah, you should be at least at this level to enjoy the game, you need to install add-on called DBM, or Deadly Boss Mods. Go to CurseForge, it's not an add-on guide. I can make one, but literally with DBM, you just need to install it and keep it up to date. That's it, okay? There are some configuration options that we can talk about, but it's irrelevant. Install DBM. Then, so I will talk in a second about, again, about Sethraliss, why I choose Sethraliss, Temple of Sethraliss as a dungeon. But if you don't know the dungeon, even if you don't know the dungeon, just go into a dungeon, have DBM ready, because DBM will take care of the bosses. It will tell you everything you need to know. And that's it. And look on the map. Make sure people are following you. If you're completely new, even to Sethraliss, even if this guide is not enough for you, even if that is not enough and you want to back yourself up even further, then at the beginning of the group, at the beginning of the run, and you can see that I'm typing right now, it's that engagement that I told you about where someone responds, not in a toxic way, but I just say something friendly and they say, ah, you do you, haha, whatever. And I just didn't engage further. So again, if you're not confident, at the beginning of the run, I also recommend spending a second to type up something along the lines of, hi guys, I'm very rusty. If you know the dungeon better, please feel free to lead. Smiley. That's it. That, not always, it's not always a silver bullet. We don't always have silver bullets against social interaction. That's what you have to understand. And I am, as a person who promotes fun in this game, who promotes a respectful, good relationship with you guys, with those people in the group, yeah? That's what I have to say to you. Give people a chance if they're impatient, if they have other expectations of you as a tank. First of all, as I said in some other video, it's one of my favorite sayings. I am not $100 banknote for everyone to love me. You should adopt that, my people, if you engage in any form of social interaction online, because it is prone to toxicity. You cannot always assume that people will be nice to you or happy with your tanking. How's my driving? Call 1-300 howsmydriving.com. There is no .com. You get me? So care, show care, give people a chance to guide, to lead. If you don't know the dungeon, or even in Sethraliss after this, I argue that if you take it seriously, if you'd like to get better, watch this a couple of times. Watch this a couple of times. Listen to me less next time. but more pay attention because you know what I was telling you. That, yeah, and that will make you better. It will make you better, and you will feel great about yourself. Okay, and if you feel great about yourself after following my guide and after running this content in this age-old game, I've done my job and I've done my hobby and I enjoyed it, and I hope that you enjoyed it too. If you did and you're not subscribed, why not? Like, why not? It's a friendly club. I welcome feedback. You don't have to agree with me on everything. Please show your support. I very much appreciate it. I don't take it for granted. Like the video, show support by subscribing. That would be much appreciated. We are at the third boss. Third boss is very important to do right. I just showed you a map, and see how I'm in the corner? Get into this corner, pull the boss in the corner after you get rid of all the ads, because this guy increases damage by pulling lightning from the pillars that start popping up. Your group needs to know better, and they need to stand in the way of those beams of energy. They need to absorb those beams. See how they are doing right now, how my healer is doing this, instead of letting that beam go straight to the boss. If that beam gets to the boss, or if the fight simply goes too long and your friends have too many stacks, so they kind of have to let some of this stuff pour onto the boss instead of them, then you are in trouble, my friend. Then you're in trouble. So this fight needs to happen fast. Luckily, that Death Knight, you know, the one who I had a conversation with, he said, I have the army of the dead, so he was able to basically push. He was able to basically pump out quite a lot of DPS, 43,000 on average DPS. And for this level, for the dungeon content that gives you 430s, it's very, very respectable DPS. You saw how much further above a standard of about 20,000 DPS that we expect in this content. You saw how much better he was doing. So that was respectable, actually. Respect to you, my man. If somehow completely randomly you're watching this microscopic channel, you're welcome. Subscribe. Now there is this corridor of lightning. So you saw there were quite a few of lightning things. Well, just squeeze through them. And how do you do it? You look ahead. Death Knight specifically is not a mobile class. It's not Demon Hunter, it's not Monk, it's not even a Paladin, and it's not a Druid. It's the slowest of them all. Arguably, in some cases, if you're good with active mitigation, also the toughest of them all, but we are not gonna even go there right now. You're not at that level, and I am possibly not in that level to argue that very well either. So, for you to avoid the lightnings and make sure in any content here or somewhere else, to make sure that you are progressing nicely, for you the most important thing is to look ahead, as obvious as it is. Don't look from above, pan your view and look a little bit ahead. Look at that gap coming to you and start moving ahead of time. Practice that a little bit. You'll be all right, you'll be fine. Otherwise that lightning hits you and you get bounced back. This area is important. This is the area before the last boss. See that orb? So basically those orbs are the eyes of that serpent, which is basically a door to the next area. You need to let your group as a tank. You don't do it yourself because it slows you down dramatically and you can't do anything else. You let your group, you collect all the enemies in the area, and don't worry, it looks like there are millions, but at the same time they hit for nothing. They are really, really weak. In higher levels of Mythic Plus, of course they do, but in this case, see, it's like it's nothing. And my healer is doing a good job as well, obviously. But for me, with my Obsidian Destruction, it's also fantastic. I'm doing 26,000 damage at my item level here. That's okay, you know, that's respectable. Sure, Twilight Devastation can do more, but it's for another time, this conversation. Orb Guardian. Orb Guardians are annoying. Orb Guardians are not dangerous. All they do is they try to take the orb from you, and if they get to you, they will. It's not like they have to kill you to take the orb. They just come to you and they take the orb and they try to bring it back to that podium or whatever. When you have the orb, you can throw it like that with a button, with an action button. Sometimes people are really well coordinated, either intuitively or because they know each other. And usually because the person taking the orb is slowed down drastically, you can't move very fast with that orb. Another person runs ahead and you basically just throw it to them. You pass the ball. The idea is you figured out one orb is on one side of the room, another orb is on another side of the room. They are two eyes of the serpent. You bring the orbs, throw the orbs into that serpent head, which is the door. It opens the mouth and you guys are home free. You go into the final boss. That's it. As a tank in this area, as you can see, I already said to you, there is only so much to say. When your Death and Decay is available, AoE, you throw AoE, you try to get their attention. You just try to get attention, and I am talented into slowing down enemies with my Death and Decay. I am talented in slowing down. You saw my talents. You can now review the video a lot more. Use the table of contents, use the timeline to navigate the video better. Go back, take a look at something else, right? Just blood boil everything. Blood boil everything. Make sure that you are protected. Make sure that your bone shield is up. Make sure that your healer is with you. And that's it. And that's it. Now, final boss area is so my healer ran off right now because it was a world quest run, remember? And world quest in this area is about collecting a relic. Relic is just something sitting at the bottom of either of those big pillars. So I collected mine, people collected theirs, but our healer was kind of left behind, but that's okay. So we are just talking about this. Everyone good? Yes, they're good. So he ran off and collected a bit more enemies. It doesn't matter. They hit for nothing. They just slow you down a bit. It's all right. So final boss area. So we have this final descent towards the boss. Because you're an AoE tank, don't try to be particularly precise and not pull that guy who currently is not aggroing on you. Blood Boil will obviously activate him, and he actually does hit for quite a bit, the Hard Guardian. But Hoodoo Hexes are the ones that you need to kill. And then when we engage with the boss, there will be Plague Doctors. Plague Doctors also hit for a lot. I encourage you to use your interrupt. My interrupt is mapped to 4, so I use the interrupt. I literally would have no opportunity to tell you, and now I did it, and now I did it. And occasionally I forget to do it, and you will as well, and you will as well, and you will live, and you will be okay. Because this is Mythic plus 0, this is where we learn. Yet, here is the thing, if it didn't come across loud and clear. A lot of us, including me, we were gearing up our alts before Horrific Visions came about, for example, mostly say in LFR, especially someone with a lot of alts like me. I just chill after work, I just kind of go into the dungeon and or into LFR. In LFR, personal responsibility is even lower because there are a lot of people to help. There is a lot less pressure on you, even though there are only 2 tanks. We will talk maybe about particulars of tanking LFR a little bit differently. How do you distress yourself in LFR? Because the social pressure of toxic people increases purely through numbers, right? But the craft, the mastery of you being a tank, the requirement goes down, believe it or not. It doesn't matter that the boss is bigger. It doesn't matter that you have potentially 10-15 toxic people behind you. If you have DBM, Deadly Boss mods, and if you know basics of how to tank and you have the right mental state and attitude, you'll be alright. It's not a problem, okay? I'm just showing to you how much Obsidian Destruction was doing here, and my job is not to damage, but it's nice to see that it actually is doing something still, so I'm quite enjoying the X. You pull all the baddies around the boss, and here the idea is for you to heal or restore the boss to full, and then you win. So this bit is actually a game for your healer. You as a tank, you keep the baddies off your healer and off everyone else. See the Hard Guardian, I thought it was Plague Doctor, Hard Guardian, I was wrong. Spawned, take care of them. Any mobile mobs that are bashing, especially on your healer, should be taken care of. My health is dipping here only because I'm standing there like an idiot and typing up a message. Don't do that. Don't do what I just did. This was one blatant, obvious mistake that I made consciously, just simply. I wasn't even cocky, but I thought, look, it's fairly trivial content and my group was doing so well and I was doing okay. So I started typing just to ask my healer, hey mate, are you healing the boss? Which I suggest to you to always give people a chance initially to do the right thing. Not just in the game, generally, before you start correcting them. It's gonna fly really, really well with a lot of people. You might make a lot of friends just outside of this, and I'm happy if I helped. But then when you don't see evidently someone standing there healing Sethraliss, restoring her, I did ask. And the guy says, yeah, we first need to get rid of this. I didn't even engage further. Did you see? I give people a chance. I assert in a reasonably pleasant, reasonably friendly way, and then I disengage and let people do their thing. For me, I'm not saying I'm a guru in social interaction, but I'm telling you, as a casual, I've been playing the game and leading teams at work for a long freaking time in my life, okay? So this is what works for me. Maybe this tactic will work for you, and if it doesn't, please share. Tell me what works for you better. Do you know better? Tell me. I'm very happy to learn from you as well. So that's about it. So in this particular case, again, AoE, get them together. You probably saw a couple of times, again, I can't talk fast enough to tell you about everything, literally. See in the top right corner of my action bar, of the central button bars, yes, of the action bar, in the right top corner, there is an icon that looks like a weird branch like this, yeah? It's called Gorfin's Grasp. It is an AoE grasp ability that Death Knights have. Pulls everyone together. Surely you have seen them in the groups, surely you have seen some Death Knights do it. If you didn't, it's cool. Yeah, unfortunately, it's on a bit of a cooldown, which is why I'm saving it. I'm normally saving it. But if it's a big pool, if there are a lot of loose mobs, if there is situations like on Merekta where she summons a lot of snakes and you need to just pull all the snakes off your friends back to you, Gorfin's Grasp works really, really well. I did use it a few times through the run. Again, cannot remember exactly where now. We've been talking for almost half an hour non-stop. So hopefully, if you're interested, if you specifically are looking for those things, first of all, you probably saw it, and second of all, you can go back and take a look at it again. In this case, again, once Sethraliss is restored to 100% life, she gets and starts helping you. Just get rid, mop up the mobs, say thank you to the team, say GG, which basically stands for good group, in case it goes so far back that no one even knows what GG means. People just take it as GG. GG means good group, or good game, or good game. Good game. So say it to people. Enjoy tanking. Talk to me in the comments down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Finish watching what I got in the loot, if it got recorded here, can't remember, and tell me if you want more of similar videos. Thanks very much. I'll see you later. Bye.